It's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
I mean, I could just turn you down there.
Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better.
That's good?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's
All right.
distracting you.
Yeah, all right, good. Well, shit. We're in this thing. And boom. What's up? Welcome back, goddammit, to another edition of Tell Me a Joke, the guideline of Chasing the Dream. I'm your host, Maniacal, Menace, Kyle Smith. Say the whole thing like a pimp, they ain't slick back. And today, I got Mr. Spacerhyme himself, the big boisterous one. Finally, we get together. Finally, I got him on my side.
I've always been on your side.
Yes. The other comedic poet
I know.
himself.
I think it's really cool that we're doing this because, I think if you were to ask most Houston poetry fans,
Yes.
comedic poet,
Right.
they'd say you or me or both.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool.
James Trotter.
That's me,
Boom.
baby. That's
Oh,
me.
Bang. Clap it up. We got the clap for him, man. Oh, hell yeah. So how you been, man?
I've been great, man. I've been
Yeah.
really, really wonderful. I'm my day job. I'm a high school teacher, so teachers in this. It's like it's what we live for.
Yeah.
And so been hitting a lot of mics. Got to go on some vacations and chill.
How do you balance both teaching and day job and then actually all going hitting mics at night? Like, is the grind too heavy, or is it just that's what you're used to?
Yeah, definitely not too heavy for me. One of the big things is because I improvise so much.
Yeah,
and
you do.
And I'm a creative writing teacher. So
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I kind of get their minds going and get my own mind going.
Yeah.
And then before I hit the mic at night, I just insert dirty jokes and swear words, and then I got to remember to take them out before school the next day. But yeah, it's not too bad for me at all. Because I improvise so much, and then also because I'm kind of writing as I teach.
Yeah.
And so something will come to mind while I'm lecturing, and then
Yeah.
I'll stop and pull out my phone and jot down a note.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you write jokes at work, basically.
They say things that inspire me, and
I'm all the time like that. Like, I could be up on a ladder, go ahead inside of a hot box, tapping up some wires and everything. I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Hold on, and I just stop right there, and I go ahead and I jot that down real quick. I safety off the wire nut first. The wires, I make sure I don't zap myself trying to write down some inspiration. But yeah, no, I do. When the inspiration strikes, you got to take advantage.
Well, and I think, for you and I, we're both people who have a lot of material and are always kind of writing new material.
Yeah.
And so, it just comes to us and we have our brains open to it.
We've had quite an interesting type of run-ins.
Oh, you and I? Yes.
Yeah, just very serendipitously.
Well, so this is the question I actually have wanted to ask you for a while.
Yeah.
Did you ever see me on stage before we worked together?
Yes.
Okay, because I never had seen you, but one thing about me is I'm always going in and out of venues, and so there's a lot of times there's people who I hadn't gotten a chance to see, and so yes, the first time I remember meeting you was when we ran into each other at work.
At work, and then that job was mad scientist.
That was
such a good memory to have, but such a crazy job to take up.
Well, I don't know if I want to go all into this, but so was your experience with it the same as mine, where I saw an ad that said, if you're an experienced stage performer.
Yes.
Okay, you saw that same ad. Yeah.
And then you go ahead and send in some videotapes of you doing certain criteria that they asked for, and you send it in, and you're thinking that at least me, I was thinking that I'm competing against a whole bunch of people. Man, I got a message back immediately. Ain't no bunch of people competing for this.
Yeah.
It's just a few knuckleheads that need something to do because you want some stage time. And that's what I thought. I thought, ooh, I can use my entertainment this way. And then I get into it, and I'm like, oh, wait, I got to learn science for real? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Yeah, I've been out of school for way too long. Now I got to teach kids science.
Well, that's what they told me, and that was I was like, hey, I was a terrible science student as a kid, presumably as an adult. They go, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
would happen to me where a kid would ask me a question, and I would go, "Hey, I'm going to totally answer that for you. I just got to go to the bathroom real quick.
Let me get it."
And I go into the bathroom and come back, and then I tell them the answer, and then they ask me follow up, and I go, "You know what? I left my wallet in that bathroom. I'm going to be right back."
I'm so absent-minded. Let me be right back. Yeah, I was prepared up to an extent to where like, oh, I can deal with this for short periods of time. Like doing a show 1 or 2 hours, fine, that's cool. But the expense of what people were paying for these shows and the people like that we had to perform for, I was like, God damn, I just parked next to a Maserati.
Right.
Like who are these folks that are like, we want our kids to have birthday parties, but these birthday parties are gonna be for it, like learning purposes only. Like I'm like, this is what's up. Like I did it. I really enjoyed doing it. But when they told me that I had to teach some kids, I was like, what you mean teach some kids? You mean teach kids? How? Like teach them? Like I don't wanna. I can do this for a little bit. And then I had a job teaching kids. I was a teacher.
You did the little teaching deal? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right before COVID.
I imagine you being pretty good at that. You know, I never did that for them because I was a high school teacher. You know, it was just my side thing. So I just did the birthday parties. But yeah. So anyway, so then we saw each other right about now. Yeah. And I was like, we know each other.
We do.
And you're like, yeah, it's mad science. I was like, mad
science.
That's you. And then you got up on stage and were hilarious and crushed it.
Good times.
And I do think that whenever we worked together, you mentioned that you did stand up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think
I shadowed under you.
Right. Right. And you'd seen me before, and then you mentioned that you did stand up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's all coming together.
It's so wild. I was like, what are you? This is so random. And now I shadow under you, sir.
Well,
what is happening in
this
world?
And one thing is that, it's people will say that to me. They're like, you teach kids? I go, yeah. Listen, I don't talk to them about the stuff that I say on stage.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, the kids know I do stand up, and sometimes they're like, Mister, I bet you're real corny, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, I can't tell you my real jokes. You're 15.
Yeah.
It's like, if I told you my real jokes,
you got some
they'd fire me. They definitely fire me.
You got some big kids.
Oh, yeah, I teach high school, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. These were 7 and 8 year olds.
Right.
I wasn't. I was like, wait, y'all trust me? I mean, it was like, get a background check. I was like, all right. Background check came clear. I was like, I guess I'll do it. For a whole it was a fun week, but like it was a learning process, and I was like, oh, this is not what I want to do with my life here. I can't continue to do. I need to go build some shit with my hands. These coddling to these kids is like, at the end of the day, we made airplanes, and that's what calmed everybody down. We made paper planes because they had this little Asian kid in there. He could make planes real good for some reason, boom, he throw them bitches and motherfuckers loops and shit, and I'm like, yo, that's cool as fuck. All right, so that's what we did at the end of every day. And if you didn't do well during the day, you couldn't make paper planes.
There you go.
That was my caveat to get them to actually listen.
That's a trick you learn early on for sure. Yeah, so, I think, for me, obviously, that's like a skill you build is how to control them. And I've been a teacher for a long time. I actually, subject of Asian kids, I taught in Korea for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually kind of weird.
How'd that come about?
No problem. I'll definitely answer that question for you. I knew some older people. They were grad students who were a few years older than me when I was an undergrad, and they had taught over there. And I really wanted to live abroad. I thought about doing the Peace Corps, but then I changed my mind. Yeah. And I like I said, I really, really wanted to do it. And so a couple of years after I graduated, I just did it, man. I just
hopped on in. Huh?
And it's not hard. It's not hard to get a job in Korea. At least it wasn't at the time.
What?
If you have a degree and a passport and a pulse, man, they'll pop you up in front of some
I have
Korean
a few
kids.
friends that have went overseas to go teach and such, and I'm like, just the nerve to get up and just leave the state that you're in to go.
It can be a little hard, but
especially foreign. Oh my goodness.
Well, I just got out of a relationship.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect timing.
Lost my job.
Yeah.
It's like all kind of
That's how comedy came about for me. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Lost the
want to know
relationship
your
with-
origin story.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
You ask fun questions.
It's your podcast. Well, but it is a question I wanted to ask you because I'm so curious about it, especially given that so few people in our scene now kind of do comedic poetry.
Yeah.
So how did you get into it?
How did the comedic poetry come about?
Sure.
Comedy came about once I had my ex-fiance before we got like everything just went to shit. I was thinking of living the American dream, fucking house, a dog, kids, picket fence, all that type of shit. That was my plan. Comedy was never in my thoughts.
But you were always an outgoing guy, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was always this guy, especially in high school. It was just some way to fit in because I was small. So I was like, this is the only way I can fit in is by being silly and boisterous, and so that was me. But when it came around to seeing a Dane Cook CD, basically Dane Cook was like my eye opening to comedy. Like I knew about Richard Pryor and all other comedians, Robert Williams, love those are my favorites, but like Dane Cook is what really opened my eyes to the silliness of the person that I could be on stage. Like, so once that happened, it was a friend that showed me. We used to quote him all the time. And then it still never dawned on me that, I'm going to be a comedian or I should do comedy. I was just like, I really like this. Okay. And so his brother one time came up to me when we was going to a Saints game. And we was just in the car on the way to the Saints game. And everything that I would see, because I'm an observationalist when it comes to comedy, and I would just point it out, but very sarcastically, like being serious but not serious. And so like they were just dying laughing in the car. I think I made him pee himself just a little bit, and that makes me feel good because it fucking my dad is one of the biggest characters that I would love to make laugh because he's a hard laugh. It's very hard to get him to laugh. So when that was always my goal. So whenever I talk to other people, it's very easy to make them laugh. And he got out the car. He's like, dude, you're fucking funny, dude. You ever thought about doing comedy? And then boom, right there. That's when the spark switched. And I was like, no, but now I am.
Interesting.
He was like, man, you should be on stage. I was like, okay. And then from then on, that's when the grind and the wheels started turning. And then it took me a minute to get on stage, but I wasn't one of those people that I was like, I'm going to at least watch for a year. No. I went out one night, looked at it and saw what it was, and I was like, I'll be back.
That was me too.
Yeah, the next time. And I came out and I did it. And I thought when I first started that I needed to have everything written out like a fucking script. Yeah. And I was like, I can't remember this thing. I got ADHD. I can't remember fucking schoolwork. Like, why would I give myself more work to go ahead and try to memorize some shit? Yeah. So it got to the point to where I was able to go ahead and jot down little plot points and everything. Yeah. But when it built from there to me always wanting to be a rapper. Always wanting to rhyme. I was always writing since I was 6. I would always write raps and rhymes and shit since I was little. I also had a rap group that I was in with my brother and a friend of ours. So I took that and incorporated that into comedy when I ran into this Mexican chick that said she did makeup. And she didn't really she did makeup. She said she did makeup, but her eyebrows were thick as fuck. Like, she made her eyebrows
Was she the inspiration?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That's where eyebrows came from.
Was that like your first major comedic piece was eyebrows?
Kind of, sort of.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I've written. I wrote things that were funny, but they weren't to the caliber of what I'm doing.
I see.
Like, they were just silly pieces that didn't really stand out. They were just kind of like, getting the gears turning to actually potentially, go where I do go now with the comedy poetry. And
I hear you.
Yeah, and the lady, and she did makeup, and I was like, no way, you do makeup. That's what you do to people? It's terrible.
And and my story is kind of similar in some ways, in the sense that So I'm a little bit different from you because ever since I was a little kid, I was like, I want to be an actor. I want to be a comedian. I see people on TV, and I'm like, when I get big, I'm doing it. I was like, I'm doing that as soon as I get big. And unlike you, I'm from a small town in the middle of nowhere. So, I'm not from somewhere cool like New Orleans, where you can do it. I feel like in New Orleans, like, you can just. You can just do it.
It's easier to do it down in New Orleans, but
or
it's
here.
It's difficult because even what you are doing, people don't care. Like, because it's like, this ain't jazz. You ain't playing music. Like, where the instruments at? That's what they want down there. But when it comes to actual, the comedy scene, that's why it's hard to open a club down there. They've had people that tried. They've had people that tried so many times. There is a club down there, but we don't speak of that club. It's like, do your thing. But
I've performed down there, but it was at a brewery.
Breweries are great.
Yeah, they just did a one-off comedy night. And the guy who I was on the show with, he brought his PA system. Yeah. So we just set up.
Breweries are amazing to perform at because the people that are there, they are there for the comedy and they have a great time and they are drinking. They are all drinking. Yeah. And they
had not too drunk because it's just beer. It's all pretty good.
They had a shout out to Gnarly Barley. All right, there was a brewery that fucking right outside of New Orleans, I think like in Houma or Hammond or something like that. There was a beer company called Gnarly Barley, and it's you ever drank a Juicifer?
No, I never drank.
You never had a Juicifer? Okay, well, Juicifers are like their most popular beers everywhere now.
Okay,
and that's
I've
where
never heard of it. I'll check it out.
We used
Good
to
name.
perform. It's delicious. It's a delicious
I'll check it
beer.
out. I'll check it out.
We used to. I had a friend of mine, Adam. He used to go ahead and take us out. And he used to be our booker, like our promoter, and he would go ahead. He booked the show at Gnarly Barley, and it is just like at least fucking 500. Nah, I can't say 500, but almost like 170 people inside this brewery. It's a big brewery.
That's awesome.
It's open up. Fucking great shows that we've had, man. Always, it was never a dull show over there.
Yeah, it's good times.
Made some really good money doing it, and it's just like. Oh, I would like to keep doing this. In every brewery that I've been to, I've never had a bad time.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
So, for me, I did start at a club. Well, I should say that. So as far as the comedy poetry thing goes, is I was in like a youth acting troupe, and then I did speech and debate in high school. So. No problem speaking in front of a crowd. And then I went to college, and I'd go to those kind of coffee house college things. But it was Lubbock, right? It wasn't Austin or Houston, or New Orleans or New York or whatever. And so it was a little more low key. And people would read their poetry out of their little notebooks, and they didn't memorize their piece, get up there and own it, And so I did that kind of with just how I assumed you should do it, and I was definitely the big fish in the small pond. People would like move their events for me.
Really?
Yeah. Like there was an organization. They were like, it was an organization. They called. They're like, hey, we're doing this event. Can you come through? And then I was like, oh no, I'm out of town that weekend. And they go, all right. And they go, can you do this day? And I was like, haven't you heard about some flyers? Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry. And so it's and so then I moved to Austin after I graduated, and that was kind of my first taste of. Kind of, the scene, kind of like what we know here and other places. And, my style was a little underdeveloped, so I kind of had to make that adjustment, which I did pretty quickly. And, so then I wrote some new pieces that were kind of more of the standard of a place like Austin. And, and then just got into it. So it's, it's so interesting. I think one thing like about you and me and other people who kind of do it, like Kyle and people like that, is just that it's not more popular. And that's what I was so curious about because whenever I was coming up in the Austin scene, that style was a lot more popular.
Really?
And people were always kind of trying to out-clever each other, and you would truly hear a premise that you were like, damn, I wish I thought of that.
I hate that. I hate that.
So good. And, and obviously I don't, respect to our Houston poets and the Austin poets of now and all poets. As I was at Nationals, and I definitely was at Nationals a few years ago, and I definitely didn't hear anything where I was like, I wish I thought of that.
I feel that.
But back in the day in Austin, man, I really felt like that a lot. I was like, oh gosh, that's such a good idea. And so, that's just kind of what I strive for now. It's not like I said, that's why I was so curious about your origin on that, because I don't think I'd be as involved with it if I don't think I'd be as involved with it if I hadn't had that Austin background.
Yeah.
If I hadn't had that Austin scene, I don't think I'd be as into poetry. Maybe I would be out here, given how.
The reason why I'm so deep into the poetry scene now is because when I was in LA for those 9 months, that's when things like really. That's when things really kicked off when it came to poetry. Just because, like, there was a scene out in LA called the Poetry Lounge. They also had a Poetry Lounge in LA.
Yeah.
And so that's when I found the Poetry Lounge in Houston.
Okay.
Like, this is the Poetry Lounge. That's the poetry. Like DA Poetry Lounge, Houston.
Gotcha.
That's the Poetry Lounge, CHE.
And is it Rudy Francisco and all those people?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I
don't
just didn't know if they sent a team to Nationals.
I have no clue.
Okay, no
clue.
worries.
Yeah,
I've met some LA people. I've met a fair amount of LA people, and Rudy's kind of the big dog.
They got some people out there, but it is like I wanted to, like me and a few other people, one of the people that stood out.
Okay.
Like just because I went out there with comedy poetry. So anything that I was gonna do, it was gonna be comedy poetry.
Interesting.
Like just because I don't, like I've always said, black and sad ain't me. And I can't continue to do black and sad. Like I got black and sad, but it's just I can't. Like, I'm a comedian, and I'm coming in. I'm dabbling into this poetry world. So that's where it really kicked off for me. And when I came out here, I was like, well, let me continue to do it because it's fun out there. I have many pieces that build up, and so I came out here and found a whole nother community. And I'm going through the schooling process, and I love that. Like this process down here, and when you find other people that do comedy poetry, like you and I, like what is your process for writing?
Sure. Well, the thing for me is that I have, multiple genres that I work in.
Yeah.
So I'll come up with an idea, and I'll kind of have to put it where it fits the best. Yeah. So, for example, my Waldo piece is I was driving down the street.
That's one of those premises. I was like, God damn it! You got a good one.
I was driving down the street and I was like, where's Waldo? In terms of his sexual identity, he's not even sure right now. And so, I did that one on stage a few times. It did okay, but then I just kind of sorted it all out about. Where's Waldo at emotionally? And that became the piece. And so, because some of my stuff, like for instance, the Sexpedition, that came from the wordplay. And then, have you ever heard Sexpedition?
I don't think I have.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'll do it for you sometime. It's a good one. I definitely want to ask you this question as well, is that, do you have those bits of yours where they make you laugh after years, where you're still chuckling at them?
Yeah.
Because there's one line. So the Sexpedition compares a night out on the town to a trek through the jungle.
That's fun. Oh, that's fun.
And there's lines in there like a herd of skankalopes sprang past to the watering hole while a herd of bimbelows salted by.
David Attenborough?
Oh yeah, no, I hold the accent for the whole thing. But the line. Oh,
that's good.
The line that I love the most in that piece that just makes me laugh is, perched upon the branch of a bar stool, we observed one of the finest birds in the kingdom, the large-breasted swallow, sipping nectar from a martini glass. Perched next to her was a far less appealing specimen, the flat-tailed spit, who crowed, "Oh my God, Laura, look at those creepy guys who just came in here," ignoring her desperate mating call. We ventured further. And so it's a fun.
That's good.
Well, I will say about that.
Fun.
I'll say about that piece is whenever I was writing it, I was like, all right, let me make a list of, jungle animals. Let me make a list of terms for women.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, if I were to do guys, I was like, man, I came up with like 3 things. I was like, sexism, man, is even down to our language. There's like 10. 10. Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah. You can go to Instagram.
Yeah.
No
worries.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. There it is. All right, I got you. Hold on. Oh, this is a fun sticky back right here. This is for. There it is. And
I'm kind of just watching. Are y'all doing a kids here? What are y'all doing? Oh, nice. Nice.
There we go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There
I
you
can
go.
just see him kind of out of the
That's
reflections.
me there. You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'm here when I have 1,000 followers, okay?
I got you. Yeah, we'll always remember you for sure.
Appreciate it.
I'll meet and greet later.
No worries.
Yeah.
So, the thing about this expedition is that, and is that I think that, I'm sure you've had experiences like this, where the format between comedy and poetry is so, you can't go to a comedy mic and be like, oh, here's a funny poem I got. And people are like, just like totally turned off. As
I tried to do a whole set like that.
Yeah,
like a good 10-minute set with just comedy poetry, and people like, yo, okay, son, you got a good rhyme scheme. I'm gonna need you to stop. It's like, oh, I need this to be funnier, and I learned that over time, because when it came to grandmas, like I had grandmas in the bag for so long. Like doing the grandma party, I was just like, this is dumb. Like, who was gonna like this?
Yeah.
Like this is stupid. Like, I can't believe I wrote some shit like this. I was like, let me just give this a shot. And that is the poem that it was so simple to write, but as I perform it, I'm like, oh, I can perform this like a comedian.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's a poem that I'm reciting, there's points in here where I have to pause. Like, it's gonna be a pause, and I get to do the looks and inflections and everything with the hand movements and the gestures, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So this is what I'm supposed to be doing with this. Yeah, and it makes the writing process of it a tad bit easier, because I know how I can go about it. I don't have to focus too much on like a prominent rhyme scheme. I can break it down to where it flows as if I'm just doing a comedy performance, but I'm also reciting the poem.
I hear you. Definitely. I don't know. Like I said, I just think that the formatting is so different. Yeah. So for instance, like Sexpedition, I can't walk on stage, never break character. I had a comedy club, I gotta say. It's like, me and my boys, I was like, we're recently single, me and my boys go out, bar hopping. I go, it's like a trek through the jungle. I was like, oh, look, there is the hagwire there. Yeah. She's like a mantha, probably going to talk. And stuff like that. And so, I have to do that setup or it won't work. Because it kind of reminds me of whenever I first started doing comedy, that I kind of similar to you. Yeah. I went and watched one. There was a comedy club in my hometown, and I graduated, chilled at my parents' house, working on my next step. And so I went and watched one, was like, got this. Went home, wrote some bits, practiced them, and first one goes great, second one goes great, third one goes great, fourth one, total bomb, like hard bomb. And part of the problem was I did a character on stage, and at a comedy club, they really, especially Odessa, Texas, they're not gonna appreciate you not, you be like, oh, I'm not breaking my character. They are the type where you gotta break it if you're struggling, you know? And so it just isn't as advanced enough a comedy audience that you can't break. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I think we all learn in comedy is that you have to be willing to do whatever. I mean, not to violate your ethics, but that being funny at the end of the day.
That's that line.
Well, and that's the thing. Well, this is what it is, right? It's like, anything that's within your wheelhouse. So what I mean is like the rules that apply to other performance art, we don't have to follow. So, you got like actors that would never break character, right? And so, and of course, most of those people aren't improvisational actors, but, there's some like seasoned stage actors where a chicken can run on stage that's not supposed to be there.
He'll fuck them up.
And they won't stop. They'll just be like,
I see where you're
like
going.
A chicken. Why is a chicken? And they would like refuse to break character. And of course, that's led to some great cinematic moments. Like
method acting.
And like there's a... And who knows if this is true now that I'm thinking about it, but it's there's always a rumor. Have you seen Casino? Martin Scorsese controls all that. I'm actually just talking about Casino. So there's a scene where Joe Pesci and Frank Vincent's character are walking on the street covering their mouths because they're talking because the FBI is surveilling them. And a guy walks by and then Joe Pesci goes, who is that? Who is that? And then Frank Vincent goes, that ain't nobody. Allegedly, that was an extra who like walked who wasn't supposed to. Oh. But now I'm thinking about it, that's probably, I think it'd be a little more likely that they'd go, cut.
That's a fun tidbit.
I don't know if that's true or not. There's some other examples though where the person didn't break character, the actor didn't break character. But in comedy, and again, Houston, you could probably get away with not breaking your character. Odessa, it's like, hey, listen,
no.
it's like, hey, no one here cares about. Oh, you didn't break your character. Oh, they don't care. You just got to make them laugh. And so they're like, a character? What is a character?
Yeah.
It's like, my boss told me I got enough of that. What's character? So my probation officer says I'm a man of poor character. Do I got to learn that from you? So it was just a different thing. And so it was a hard lesson to learn, especially because, not so much a hard lesson to learn. It was what brought me back to earth a little bit, because I was like, oh man, I was like, because I was prepared for my first time to not go well. And I'm somebody that's like, hey, it's not going to go good the first time. I accept that. I understand this is something that's going to take a while to get good at. No problem. It's like, I can take it. And my first time went so well that I was like, man, am I a savant? Am I just like a comedian?
Yeah, that's how you feel. That's how it sometimes feels when that first time goes really good the first time.
Yeah.
So I know you felt the 1,000-yard stares, and like I've had an instance where I was booed, and it doesn't happen often, but sure. I've had, like, how do you go about those where you just come in the crowd and the crowd is just shit? Like, how's that feeling for you?
Well, so yeah, it's all good. Number one, if it's just not salvageable, it's just a bad day at work. Yeah. And that's what, for me versus some of our comedian friends. Yeah. Some of our comedian friends are very sensitive.
Yes.
Which is weird because they sometimes are very, you're a comic. You're supposed to kind of be emotionally dead. And they, to do this job. And some of them are so aggressive towards the audience. Yeah. And that they, and so they, and so I'm somebody, I'm not like that at all. And actually, one of my rules for myself is that if I bomb, that I gotta go out and get on the mic again the next night.
Gotta do it.
I'm not a bomb and chill. I just go and get on the mic again the next night. And so I think what I'd say about it is, that I just kind of take it as a bad night. And I said some certain friends of mine, they're like, if I don't do awesome my next show, I'm quitting. I'm not like that. I'm somebody that's like, I was like, oh no, man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this till I'm old, and even when I'm old, I'm gonna do it at the senior citizen talent show.
Yeah, everybody's gonna get these jokes. Until I croak, motherfuckers gonna get these jokes.
Hey. And so, I'll be like, have you all ever noticed that Nurse Leslie is got a big old booty there? With my oxygen mask and shit. So man. So I'm cool with it. Now, what I'll say about it is that, especially with the Spacerhyme show, is that I really can incorporate them into the show pretty easily. Mm-hmm. That's a little more that. Yeah, I don't mind heckling with that. Do you
prefer because you do a lot of crowd work? Do you? When did that come in?
Yeah, absolutely. So you talking like Spacerhyme itself, or just like regular comedic crowd work?
Regular. I guess the regular comedic crowd work would have to have came before the Spacerhyme, right?
Not really.
You started doing crowd work after you started doing your Spacerhyme?
Sort of. So the thing about Spacerhyme. I had the idea in Austin, but I would go up to rappers. So for viewers at home who don't know much about me, Spacerhyme Continuum is a hip hop improv comedy show whereby we improvise comedic scenes and rhyme to a beat and all that sort of jazz. And so
kind of like a lyricist lounge show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
okay. Your audience knows the lyricist lounge show.
Yeah, they should. Okay. They don't know me. So get on.
Oh, that's crazy. You know the lyricist lounge.
Oh, I love it.
How old are you?
39.
Oh, okay. We're closer in age than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were like in your early 30s. Okay. That makes sense. Because people who are older than me / us, they're like, oh, the Lyricist Lounge Show. And then people who are younger than us are like the what?
Yeah.
So, yes. No, Lyricist Lounge Show was my model for it when I started it. And I know the Lyricist
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Lyricist Lounge Show is definitely my shit. A ton of those are on YouTube. Did you know that?
I was wondering where they would be. This got to still live on.
There's only a couple of full episodes, but like a lot of the skits are online. Yeah, and so it's great, man. It's great to see him again, and man, some of them are so good. I've been kind of up. Did you remember Mission Illogical with Mos Def? It was like a Mission Impossible deal.
No,
oh, it's so good, man. And so it's Yeah, bartender, martini shaken, not stirred. You finally made it, hun. Is that you, Deke? What's the word? And so it's so awesome. And so he wanted to come. Eagles fly south in the summer. He's like, what?
Hell
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I can't help you, brother. Something about the eagle lid that I must have forgot. Sounds like one too many shots. Ooh, fly lady at 12 o'clock in the Terragabadu. It's so good, man. It's good stuff. I'll send it to you for sure. And so that's what we do. And then so I did it in Korea with two good friends. One was a Marine from New Jersey, and the other one was another teacher from the DC area. And we had a lot of success, and it was super fun. Had a nice, good following. And then I told those dudes, I was like, hey, you guys should move to New York. And they're like, no, we're going to get married. Not to each other. They got married to women. Yeah. And so I moved back to the U.S., and I tried to find some dudes to do with me in Austin. It didn't work out. And then I came here to Houston. And I had a partner. Shout out to my boy D-Trey. He's probably going to watch this.
Yeah.
Have you ever met D-Trey, Val?
I don't think so.
Okay. He's a good guy. And we did it for a long time here in Houston. And then he took a night job, and so he couldn't do it so much.
Oof, that night job.
I know, man.
That night job.
That's part of the reason. That's the part of the reason why I love being a teacher, bro. It's like you never got to work nights.
I can't do that night shit.
You never got to work nights. When I first moved to Houston, I was working in corporate America, and I'd have a show, and they'd go, "Oh, James, having an emergency. You got to stay all night." It's like, I can't. Oh, I hate that. So it's one of the reasons why I love being a teacher. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But the money was good, though.
Electrical job, which is it's nice, but my goodness, I beat my body up on a daily, and I just hopefully I can continue.
It helps you stay in shape, though, man.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Which I don't regret that aspect of it, because I know once you stop, it's just like that's when your body start going downhill. Yeah. Like I still feel fit and everything. Yeah, I throw up, boom, arm for everybody. I still got it, almost 40. But I did wake up today and was like, "You're almost 40? Oh, you ever felt this yet?" And I was like, "Oh, my back. What's going on?"
Definitely. And so what I'll say about it is that what happened is my boy D-Trey has the night job. And so around that time, I realized I could do it myself, because he and I had performed somewhere, and he was having a really hard time finding a spot for himself in the scene. Yeah, he was just having a hard time finding a place for him to go, and so I kind of did it by myself, and he would kind of chime in, but I kind of carried the story. Yeah, and it was a good one too, because it was so one of my things, I go up to someone in the audience, I go, "I want you to take out your phone, go to your text messages, hit me with a scroll, and then read me the first text message you see." Yeah. And a girl did it, and it was in Spanish. And so I had this whole thing about how, I fell in love with a woman who didn't speak English. And it was, I was like, when we on the phone, man, I'm in the zone. But when I'm on my own, I'm studying Rosetta Stone. And it just, and so I realized from that, I was like, I can do these alone. Yeah. If I explain to the audience ahead of time that I'm going to be telling them a story. Yeah. So my intro with that, it was always say, "Hey, y'all, I'm going to be telling you a story. So, if I say my name is Mike or Dr. Shivago or something, don't be like, 'Hey, I thought his name was James.'" Yeah. Like, I'm playing a character. I go, and like other.
Don't be dumb.
Yeah, well, and pay attention, right? Because you're a lot of rappers. Bar, it's like, oh, bar. For me, it's like, hey, these bars are building towards a story. So be into it. Here. And so anyway, and kind of similar to my time when I first started doing stand up is that first one goes awesome, second one goes awesome, third one goes awesome, fourth one was awful. It was such a softball too. So what happened was, I went to did the phone thing in the audience.
Where you at? How many people?
It was at Not So Downtown. It was probably about 30 people, maybe 40. And so
it's a good amount to bomb in front of.
It was okay, but especially how at that point I'd been doing all this for so long that it was and so well, the problem was I committed a cardinal sin of improv, which is in improv they teach us that you stick to your character. Yes. They're like, if you come up with something funny here, stick to your character, and I didn't do that. So the person said, such a softball, the lawyer says everything will be okay. Yeah. And I was the lawyer, and I was the dude, and I was there, and I can rap in the voice of the Texas Hammer. So I'm over here going, "I'm Jim Adler. I'm Jim Adler. I'm gonna be your lawyer." And I was like, blah blah, lyrical destroyer, stuff like that. And so Yeah, and so it was. So I was like, okay, I just was so blessed in that moment, actually.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things once you get seasoned with this stuff. I was in that moment of bombing, feeling blessed because I was
Yeah.
like, God, thank you so much for having this been number 4 rather than having been number 1.
All right.
Because if it had been number 1, I'd been like, this doesn't work. But it was number 4, so I was like, this can work.
Oh, that's a
It
good
just
way of
didn't.
thinking about it.
Well, like I said, the first one went so well. The first one was great, and people
Yeah.
came up to me afterwards. I got that reaction that I love, where people are like, "How does your mind do that?" Like they're like they're going to examine. Like, how does that brain do?
Let me get some.
And
Get some of that.
and so with that, I was, and around the same time, I watched a famous comedian on a YouTube video, who I'm not going to name, who was doing crowd work, and I was watching it, and I was like, number one, this stuff's kind of mean-spirited, and then secondly, it's not really that creative, right? Because it's just like, oh, the video I watched in particular, the guy in the audience had an accent, and he starts going, "Oh, your accent's so sexy." It's like, "Oh, your name's Virgilio," and so I was like, "This is some pretty hack shit," And so my thing was, what if I didn't say, "Where are you from? What do you do?" What if I asked him a question like, "Who is the weirdest kid that you remember from school? What's a place you've traveled to and seen something that you thought was really unusual?" And just ask people. And then, of course, one of my bread and butters is to say, when's the time you went on an awkward date? Or for the ladies, when's the time a guy hit on you awkwardly? And that's always a gold mine. One of my favorites was a woman. It was a comedian friend of mine's aunt, and she was maybe in her 60s, and she said that a man in his 80s hit on her and said that he had leaking gut syndrome. And I said, your disclaimers in dating, they change with age. When you're in your 20s, you're like, "Oh, hey, I still live with my parents." Whenever in your 80s, you're like, "Hey, my guts leak all over the place before we go out on the date." Just
It might be a little cleanup as we go.
Yeah.
Did you understand that this was going to be your calling as you got older?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think when Korea, because it went so well. In Korea, because it went so well, I kind of really felt like I was home, when I discovered it. And I think maybe the thing for me was, because our following had gotten to the point in Korea where, had a lot of people who followed us. And a couple of times people came up to me and said, who I didn't recognize, and they came up to me and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know, this time in Korea was not really good for me. I didn't really enjoy it." And they're like, "I've missed home too much." And they go, "And coming to your shows was like what helped got me through." And I was like, damn. It's like, "You didn't go to the Imperial Palace? You didn't think they see the Imperial Palace?" Wait, you didn't go to Mudfest, bro? You didn't think Mudfest was better than my show? And so, but I understood it. Other people definitely felt that way. And yeah, I think that's, and then the other thing was, whenever, because in Austin, when I first came up with the idea, I tried to find people who could do it with me, and I couldn't find them and stuff. And so, and then it was, the fact that my original partners were from the East Coast, I was like, maybe I need to go to the East Coast. And so I took a trip to New York. Or just solely on the idea of like, I'm going to find some other people who can do this. Love New York City. No. I just couldn't meet anybody to do it. And as much as I love my old partners, is that even they'd probably say this, is that they
couldn't find them.
My old partners, they'd be like, "Oh yeah," they're like, obviously I can rhyme, but
but improv and rhyming, that is different.
Well, the thing is working towards the arc. That's what and even improv actors who don't rhyme, a lot of them don't work towards an arc. They don't.
The skill that you have, what you're doing up there, that is difficult, my guy.
I don't know about. Well, the one thing is the teacher and I were having a conversation once, and I said he was complimenting me, and I said I feel like, there's not too many people who, study creative writing in school, who got their degree in creative writing, had a background in improv, had a background in comedy, and, had, been in rap battles, put out mixtapes and all that jazz. And he goes, "Bro, it's just the last one." He goes, "Lots of people who study creative writing try stand up. Lots of people who heard improv try stand up. Those are all interchangeable." He goes, "It's that last one that kind of sets you apart." I was like,
I did creative writing in college. And also I had an elective once I got out of high school of creative writing, and I had speech. in college. That was one of my electives, and I was like, "This is nerve-wracking." I guess
Oh, you
that
found
would be
it nerve-wracking?
well, because that was the first time I've actually got in front of somebody and spoke.
Oh, I got you. I was
On
in the debate team in
anything.
high school.
Yeah,
Oh wow, that's funny,
yeah.
man. I thought you'd be like, oh, I was in. I was like, can I just get the A? Like,
I can hold court in the lunchroom, but nah,
I was like, yo, man, I was a state finalist, dog, and speaking. Like,
Oh,
why am I?
really?
Yeah, I'm like, why am I in this class?
No.
And so, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, you
I'll
did the
pop
background.
off randomly just to say some silly shit. Like,
Gotcha,
I'll
you wanted
yell
to use
Mortal
the speaker for the
Kombat
big-
in
yeah.
the movie theater, but other than that, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, I got put up in front of the class when I was in like third grade,
Yeah.
just because I was like disruptive in class, kind of like the class clown kind. And so like the teacher, they took me out of that class
Yeah.
and brought me in another class and was like, "Here, be funny." And I was like, "What the fuck you mean, be funny?"
That's funny.
Hey, Jim, I in trouble? Like, what am I doing? So I just basically walked around and mocked the teacher.
There you
and
go.
made fart noises behind her and then pretend like I was Urkel. And then everybody laughed.
And
I
it
was
crushed.
like, whoa,
Nice. Yeah.
this is different.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, like I said, so yeah, that's definitely one area because like I said, the debate team. Number one, I knew I wanted to be on the debate team. Couldn't wait to be
Yeah.
on the debate team, and then I was
High school
And-
debate team?
Yeah, I was on the high school debate team. Yep, and
Yeah.
and it was and like I said,
So what was a young James Trotter doing? What builds up to
Who I
this
am.
James Trotter here?
Well, the young,
What is your Batman origin? Sir?
well, in some ways, it's a little weird. And I think, and I reflect often about what I'd be, how different I'd be if I grew up in a place like Houston.
Yeah.
because small town in the middle of nowhere, a lot of very conservative people.
Yeah.
And it was not the artsiest place, but it was okay. There was a theater and. Like I said, in an acting troupe that I was a part of.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing about me is that my parents are really, really funny. My parents are just really hilarious people.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
yeah, they never wanted to do stand up though. They never had any desire. But
that stage is something.
yeah,
different,
definitely.
boy.
Yeah, well, it's just funny because my brother and sister are both super funny, and my sister, because I always try to encourage women to do stand up because I used to be a booker at a club, and finding women to do it was so tough.
Yeah.
I put up in the Facebook group. I was like, "Hey y'all, I got paid spots at this comedy club," and I felt like a girl because my DMs would be filled with dudes, be like, "Bro,"
Yeah,
and then there'd be no women, and I was like, "Man, come on, this show cannot be a sausage fest, man. Come on, ladies." So anytime someone's like, "Women aren't funny," I want to grab them by the throat. Number one for feminism, but then also because being a booker, going, I gotta get some feminine energy on this show. man.
Definitely need to change up the trajectory of the energy in there.
Yeah.
Most of the people that I've talked to have been on here have been females, just because they're the most interesting. I'm not saying the most. I can't put them in categories. I can't put anybody in a category, but they do have interesting things to say. Like everybody has something interesting, but it's just like that. Those are the people that I have gravitated towards because in the poetry scene, that's what you see the most of. You see the most of. I see a lot. I mean, I guess it's 50-50. But
you don't think it's more? I think it's more bad. I remember whenever.
Do you really?
Whenever Right About Matt Now first started, Amir said to me, maybe our 5th or 6th week, Amir said, "Man, I got to figure out a way to get more guys in here."
Oh, I don't see it that way.
And I
though.
said, I was like, "So don't worry. I go, keep building the audience, and men will come."
Yeah.
And so it's I don't.
It's so weird
You think so?
because I see it very mixed now. At least
Maybe.
half, at least 50-50 now.
Well, but look at look at the Right About Now team. Always.
Oh yeah, there's only a few girls on there.
There's
yeah.
a few. There's really only been. There's been a couple. The last season was 2. Season before just 1, and then before that there was kind of a controversial thing where, it was all male, and there were like a few women in the finals, but they didn't make it and stuff. And so it was. Yeah. No. I think. In
I
general,
guess that is true because We Go Live. They've put on a few all-female shows. That I never think about it like that. I'm like, because I have so many friends in the scene that are females, like both sides. So it doesn't seem like we don't have enough. But when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's like, oh shit, you're right. They we don't have that many representatives of like really good female artists out there.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I said, as a teacher, I think about that stuff just because, my strongest students always seem to be female.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was teaching at a junior high, and they're working on a project, and then 5 of them got their first part done, and the rest of them were plodding along. And so I said, all right, y'all 5 come over here, and I'm going to show you how to do the next part. And they go, we're all girls. And I was like, the future's female, ladies. What can I say about these dopey boys? But something happens. I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. Especially, given that my sister, like, of the people I know who don't do stand-up, who should do stand-up. Or I should say should do stand-up, but would be good at it, is my sister. Is definitely my number one. And she's just like, I'm like, you don't want to? She's like, just don't have any desire. Just because I just like being funny to my friends, and that's it.
Oh, it's so wild. It's so wild.
Because I have no desire
it's like, you
to
just
get on
gonna be
stage
outside? You ain't gonna take the pill? Man, take the pill.
Well, and,
come in the Matrix, man.
And like I said, hearing your story is kind of interesting in the sense that, because, like I said, like what you said is that some people it just is like easy for us. And I definitely was, for me, it was just definitely like, saw it on TV, and Jim Carrey mentioned that one of his early specials, that he was a kid and watched TV and was like, I saw these, comedians on Johnny Carson and was like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
I was kind of the same way where I would watch comedians on TV and go, oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
And so
it never dawned on me. It was just like, I enjoy this. I like the silliness of things. And I would go around repeating. All the Dan Cook's jokes. We would fucking have our little snippet back and forth banters. Fucking, the Burger King. He was the Burger King. You gotta have the coops, man. You gotta have the coops. And so it's like, yeah, fucking that was me. He got me in that MySpace era. Boom. You got me. And that's what changed me over. And that's what became this, what then molded into comedy poetry. And then that's when things is like, oh, this is you, my guy.
That's interesting.
Like, do this. And I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah, no, for me, one story from my family is that, whenever I was like, a very little kid, and my mom would read me stories, and I'd be like, when I get big, I'm going to write these, baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to write these when I get big. And so it's, I don't know. I've had people ask me, would I ever want to do anything else? I'm like, to be honest, I have like no interest.
What else would there be to do?
I don't even have. I was like,
this is,
well, for me, it's like I just want to continue to get better at this and see how high I can go, rather than I don't know, get into math or
the
something.
satisfaction I get from this, like, I don't have to hurt my brain too much besides thinking of something heavy. But other than that, like, I think about like boxing and stuff like that, but it's like I'm too old to go to one-up box. Now, don't hit me in the face. I'm almost 40. I would like to learn the basics.
For fitness, do that, bro.
Fitness-wise, no, I don't.
And I'm glad you didn't do it when you were younger, bro.
If it was anything, I would have been a Navy SEAL, and I would have been an MMA fighter, and also I would have probably had motorcycles and just a wild life. A life that, like, if this was an alternate universe, that would be that small Kyle. Now, but this one is like, I take the safer approach.
Yeah, well,
I don't know, man. Dangerous shit no more. I would have been a stunt double back then. Like, that was the route. And I seen, because I actually worked at Second Line Stages. I built. I did the electrical for Second Line Stages because I'm an electrician. So down in New Orleans, that's where they shoot most of their films and shit at Second Line Stages, and they had auditions for stunt doubles and stuff. And I missed the auditions, and I was like, all right, whatever. But like right after they started shooting for Green Lantern. Because that's where the first taping of the Green Lantern was shot there. At Second Line Stages. I seen them build the arch and everything for the ring. But one of the stunts there went wrong and it split a guy in half. And I was like, oh, well, no stunt doubling for me.
Wow, so, that's crazy, man.
Dodge that bullet.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Like I said, for me, especially I'm a fan of boxing and stuff. And, you see it and you're just like, man, really messes a person up.
Yes. That punch. I can't. I'm like, I like my faculties about me.
Yeah, bro, you're so funny. This is definitely where you belong, for sure.
When you listen to people talk after they've been punched in the head so much, and it's like, oh, I couldn't do stand up like that. That would be different.
Yeah.
And you hear what Brendan Schaub sounds like. Boom, taking jabs. All right.
I think Brendan Schaub would be the same person if he had not ever been. I think he still would be very incoherent.
Yeah.
But but what I think is true, man. I'm just glad. I'm glad as a fan of yours. I'm glad that this is where God took you, where your path took you, because I don't know. And for me, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I would have. I mean, the only thing is maybe being a lawyer, like my dad being a lawyer, but that's like the only thing.
I could see you being a lawyer. But
the thing about it is, there's a couple of things about being a lawyer. Is that one is that one time I walked into my dad's office when I was in high school, and I saw him behind all these files and paperwork they had. So, and then the other thing is that one of my best friends is a lawyer, and he was watching a DUI tape with a client, and so he's on the tape with the officer. The guy's drunk and everything. He gets out of the car, vomits on the officer, then starts telling the officer he wants to fight him, and then starts saying all this threatening shit to the officer. And he's like, "I'll go fuck my jail, blah, blah." And so anyway, the tape goes, and my friend's just like, and then the tape goes off, and the guy turns to him and goes, "So what's our play here? What's your play to get me off?" And my friend's like, man, but really scraped the bottom of the barrel on this one.
No.
One of my favorite of his stories, this is kind of a tangent. This is another one. Yeah, this doesn't have really the same point, but I just love this story, is that there's a dude, and he's at an Applebee's with his friends, and they have the bottomless drinks or whatever, but he's not drinking. He's going in the bathroom and snorting cocaine and taking pills and going back to the table with his friends. Well, I'm just like, you're doing that shit at an Applebee's.
Jesus.
So anyway, he's quite high, and he's
quite high,
and he's driving down the highway, swerving.
Oh no! This is somebody's lawyer.
Cop pulls him over. The cop pulls him over. And the guy jumps out of his car. It's amazing he didn't get shot. Runs over to the officer, and his body came on and goes, "Hey, you MFer." He goes, "I've been snorting coke. I've been taking pills, but I haven't dropped a drink. You can't do shit to me." And they arrest the dude. And so they take him into jail, and he calls my friend. So my friend goes down to see him, and he's like, "Hey man," he goes, "Mr. P," he goes, "We don't gotta worry, man." He goes, "You don't gotta worry, man." He goes, I didn't have a drop to drink. And he goes, and my friend goes, "Hey bro, so like driving under the influence, it's not just alcohol. It's anything that would impair your driving." And the dude's like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, idiot, moron." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "And I yelled all that shit in the officer's face." He goes, "Yeah, you idiot." And so being somebody like that, it's lawyer, I'd be like, "Oh God." And it'd be a little bit like at a certain point where, I'd just be like going in front of the judge, and they go, "What is it this time, James?" "What is it this time?" And I'm like, Your Honor, he was doing a bit. He's a comedian like me. He's just joking around. So I'm really glad I'm not a lawyer.
That's like being a Bigelow and having to go to the dark side of Bigelowing. Just a male gigolo, and you gotta deal with everybody.
Yeah,
you don't think of that when you becoming a lawyer. That you might have to take somebody's case that's wrong like a motherfucker.
There's that, and and that's what it is. But like, whenever there's like nothing you can, nothing you can do. It's like, you just gotta get very creative, and so, you encounter the same people all the time. So, one time my dad overheard some prosecutors be like, "Oh, he's full of shit." And my dad was like, "Yeah, I'm a defense attorney. Of course I'm full of shit. Yeah. What do you think?"
Right.
And so it's my job to be full of shit.
My goodness.
And so, it's, I'm just glad I'm not one.
You gotta be a piece of shit. You gotta be a piece of shit.
Not a piece of shit. You gotta be full of shit.
You gotta be full of shit?
You gotta be full of shit.
That's more than just a piece of shit.
You gotta be full of shit. Well, the thing about it is that sometimes people's actions are just truly indefensible. Like somebody swerving on the highway who vomits on the officer and threatens them and tells them they're going to kick their ass. Or a guy who yells in an officer's face that he's very, very high on cocaine. That's just...
And it's like,
your options are very limited.
Yeah. He takes the case, though? He still takes the case?
Hey, man, everybody has a constitutional right to be defended.
Shit. I feel you on that. God damn, I don't want no parts of that, James.
Yeah, it's a tough job, man. So I'm glad I'm a teacher.
Hell no.
I'm glad I'm a teacher.
I could imagine you in the suit. I could see a scenario with you being a lawyer in the suit, and I would just be like seeing you from afar, knowing the energy of you being like, he don't want to do that at all. Rip the suit, James. Rip out the suit, man. Fuck this court, man. Let's hit the stage somewhere.
I do it, man. I'd come up with something, but it is true. Between my dad and my best friend, they've both had times where they've gotten up to give their there are a closing argument and be like, and they're like, hey, y'all, listen. He was kidding. He was joking around. It was a joke. And then it's like he was swerving. It's like you were trying to drive on these roads. We're all swerving. It's not his fault. It's the mayor's. Fix these potholes. You know. And
no doubt about it, you'll do a phenomenal job. But in my back of my mind, like, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this at all.
It's definitely, yeah, man.
I don't want to be on jury duty right now.
I'm glad I'm not a lawyer. But because the other thing too, I don't know, it's that being, you know, I just love stand-up. That's one thing that's really true is I just love performing. I love Spacerhyme, and I definitely feel like definitely was my calling, man. As I'm, you know, once I found it, I was home. Which was, you know, like I said, whenever I started in Korea with my boys, they, you know, we all went over to my apartment, kind of laid out my idea. I had some alcohol there to kind of help me talk them into it, and I laid out what I thought we should do, and it was great, man. It was one of those things where I guess maybe it's a little bit on my arrogance that I was always like doing stand-up and stuff. You know, sometimes people come up to me and tell me it was good, but it wasn't like almost everybody. Yeah. Then when as soon as we did Spacerhyme, it was like almost everybody was coming up and be like, "Oh, you guys are amazing." You got it. Blah blah blah. And so you know, it's
hell yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, before we get out of here, we always like to play a game of options. Yes. Just to go ahead and break up the monotony of things. So we got a game of options for you. You got 5 options, 5 choices. You got to be one, raise one, sell one, and have relations. 4 options and 4 choices. There we go. I said 5. 4 of them. Be one, raise one, sell one, and have relations with the other one. All right. Okay. And your options are a mermaid, a mogwai, a Mexican, and a manatee.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are good. Okay. Now, what's a mogwai?
A mogwai Gizmo from Gremlins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So wait. So
you got to be one of them, raise one of them.
Be one of them,
raise one of them, sell one of them, and then have relations with the other one.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna go off. Straight up. Yeah. Have relations with Mexican, given that I have.
Okay.
So that's
so precise.
I've already done it.
That I have.
And same with mermaids too. But that was only like I've dated several Mexican women. I've only had sex with one mermaid. So given that I love the ocean, I'm gonna be a mermaid.
Okay.
And then raise one and sell one between Gizmo and
manatee.
Oh, manatee. Man. Fuck Gizmo. I'm gonna sell Gizmo.
Okay.
But I'm gonna raise. I'm gonna raise the manatee. Especially if I'm a mermaid.
Yeah.
Me and my manatee homie. We can.
Yeah, definitely. Hell yeah. That's what's up. It's like your own little pet. It's like your pet dog because you're a merman. So you're definitely in the world. Merman, how you feel? Jason Momoa. So you know, definitely.
It's like Little Mermaid, but you know, given that I'm a kind of a big bulky dude, you know, I got my big bulky sea cow.
Definitely.
You know, Hugh Manatee, Hugh the Manatee. That's an old ass joke. I remember that a long ass time ago.
I see what you're doing here, sir.
I remember that a long ass time. You know, that's the thing. I don't know if you have this experience that you never know like when your stuff's going to chime in. Yeah, I remember that humanity thing perfect. A long ass time ago. But yeah, we'll go off on our adventures. Yeah, of course, Ursula. You know, because I like curvy women. So Ursula's over here like,
I love it.
Ooh, I'm gonna do that. I'm like, girl, come over here, come play with me. Get them tentacles over here, girl.
Go give me some of that tentacle, girl.
Yeah, Ursula, poor unfortunate souls, girl. I'm gonna do something poor and unfortunate to your soul, baby.
Go ahead, drop that squid butt over here.
Yeah, hey. Hear that?
Oh hell yeah, man. Well, thank you for being here, man. Hey, let everybody know where they can follow you at, dude.
For sure, at Spacerhyme, space like outer space, rhyme like things that. Right. And, follow me on Instagram. I perform all over the city. You know, perform out of town every once in a while. I'm coming along to this guy's thing in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So
hell yeah.
We're having a good time. Oh yeah, man. Any excuse to go to New Orleans, man. I love your city. I don't know if you can see it on the video. Is you know, just anytime you mention New Orleans, there'd be a little bitterness in my eyes.
Oh yeah.
I love that city, man. I was so much
September 14th coming up, man.
Yeah, we're gonna be there. So you follow me at Spacerhyme. I go live all the time, and I post where I'm gonna be. That's one big thing.
Yeah, that's the same here. Well, hey, you know where you can follow me at, man. This has been Tell Me a Joke, the guideline of Chasing the Dream. I've been your host, Maniacal, Menace. Said the whole thing like a pimp named Slickback. And until next time, man, like, share, subscribe, all that shit. Keep dreaming, jokers. Woo!